Hi, everyone. I am so excited. This is my first ever podcast, Start From Zer0. My name is Aurora Love, or Aurora Jimenez is my real name, and I've decided to start using it. I also go by Manifo. I am a DJ from Sacramento, California. I've also been performing music in San Francisco as well, and kind of all over. And I've been doing that since the early 2000s. I'm getting started with my podcast. I am a little nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. Since this is my first time, I'm just going to kind of wing it and go with my natural flow, which is to talk about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, especially as a woman and a woman of color. Even though I am white passing, I understand my privilege. There are a lot of things and I guess contributors to the challenges as you're getting started in business. And I'm here to talk about that. As we go on, I will also invite guests that I know personally have dealt with significant challenges as they've been developing their business and their brand. I do have a background in marketing, so I'll share some of my wisdom from the last 20 years of experience, as well as what I do to keep myself motivated when there are those challenges. So as we go on, Start From Zer0, we'll continue to hopefully encourage you to keep going with whatever you choose to do with your lifelong goals, and also how to expedite the process. Sometimes we have to fail in order to succeed, right? A lot of the times it's the case. My good friend says, for every 99 no's, always a one yes. So you just got to keep asking questions and staying curious in life, and the lessons will continue to teach us. Where to begin? Right now, it's a challenging time. It is January 10th in 2025, and I am in California. I know about the devastation, about the LA fires and the Palisades burning down, which is devastating for a lot of people. I know personally a few people who are being affected right now and forced to evacuate. It's perfect timing, even though terrible news, to be discussing how to start from zero, because unfortunately, a lot of those homeowners are going to have to start over again from zero. Travesty can breed two things. It can either breed devastation or it can breed community. In this case, I see it breeding community very strongly. A lot of the people are coming together to share resources and also protect each other's homes, the ones that are able to be saved. This is just an example of how sometimes these tragedies can actually end up becoming positive in life. In my experiences, although a lot of tragedy has occurred, a lot of really beautiful experiences ended up balancing those things out. You know, it is a very vulnerable thing for me to be sharing my life with you. I do expect there to be some criticism along the way, which is totally fine, and I expect that. I also really don't care anymore. I think that's why this is the perfect time for me to be sharing my life, because I'm finally at that point where I have failed enough times that I am no longer afraid of failure. I used to be very, very afraid. I still push through those fears, though. That's something that doesn't really go away all the way. I think everyone who's ever felt even a brief moment of success or some kind of acknowledgement for their efforts, there's that, I guess, imposter syndrome that can come into play, where you just feel unworthy of things, even though you've earned them. Sometimes that can manifest itself in things like you're a student, but you're studying something and you feel like you have the knowledge because of those classes that you've taken, but then you feel like, well, who am I? Because I have no experience. The facts are, you know what you know. And in life, our job is to learn and grow and then share that knowledge, right? I believe that is true for every single person on this planet. So whatever you choose to pursue in life, you should reach a goal of sharing that knowledge. And so that's why I'm here. I'm not here to boast or brag or talk about what I've done that's so great. It's actually just, I had an idea and I decided to act on that idea. And a lot of people just don't act. The only thing that really sets me apart is that I'm an actor, yes, but I mean, I take action. I am a player in the game. I have not just been sitting back and watching and observing other people playing the game, although I do that as well. That is a big nugget of wisdom that I want to pass on is how to watch and how to listen for things that will actually help improve your life and your pursuits. For example, I'll start with DJing just because it's my truest love. I've always wanted to be surrounded by music in life. I mean, I've pursued guitar. I was self-taught just by a chart on the back of my door when I was a teenager, like exactly how it sounds. I just kept tinkering and playing with the finger placement and the strum patterns. Oh my God, it was terrible. I feel sorry for my parents. At the same time, I am very fortunate. I had very encouraging parents, loved me dearly. And even though, yeah, I might not be a natural right off the bat, they still said, keep going. I ended up booking myself at multiple venues all over Roseville and Sacramento when I was a kid, just wanting to perform because I was a natural performer. I don't know what to tell you. That's just who I am. Believe it or not, I was a very shy kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. I went to a bunch of different schools. I went to 4 different elementary schools and 4 different high schools. The only thing that really continued in my life as a continuous thing was church. Yes, I grew up a Christian, non-denominational, not a very radical church, but it was a very radical belief of acceptance. So I thought myself being queer, or I am bisexual, and I'd been open since I was younger, but that was a very confusing thing for me. So, the church had its complexities and everything, but I still was very involved. I was in choir. I was also in drama. So I performed in for the church, and then I also did performances for like talent shows and things like that. Not just in the church, but also in like community events and county fairs. Once I got older, I've had my rebellious phases. I started hanging out with these like rocker guys that used to come to my youth group, and then I went off to go smoke pot. Let's just say I strayed from faith, which is fine. Totally fine and natural for us to do that in life, right? And you know what? I still maintained a level of faith. I had a belief that I was going to be able to do whatever was meant for me to do. That's never really changed, although I am no longer a Christian and I am not religious. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about acceptance of others and their process of, recovery and falling and getting back up and falling and getting back up and that kind of thing. It was really valuable to me. I wanted to be a really good person, So every step that I took for myself in success, I always wanted to bring someone with me. I never felt like it was meant to be just me. And so I had tried to build teams and, stuff like that. So naturally I got into event planning and doing all that for a career later on. And we'll get more into that another time. For now, back to the music. I am in love with turntablism and, scratch DJs, and personally I'm not great. I haven't really tried too hard because I felt like a poser. I was like, this isn't for me. But I do tinker here and there when I'm DJing, and it's just not, I don't call myself a scratch DJ whatsoever. That being said, I started going to like MC events and rap battles, and I'd see DJs and they have their turntables and all of that. And I loved DJ Shadow. DJ Shadow was a huge thing for me to discover on my own. I loved going to Borders and listening to headphones with trance music and techno. So I discovered Tiesto when I was 15 years old, which is really young for electronic music, since at the time it wasn't as popular at all. It was my escapism. I loved it so much. So I just always loved DJing, or the idea of becoming a DJ. So when I was in 7th grade, I believe, we had a career day, and one of our local DJs from a radio station in Sacramento came into the classroom to talk to people who signed up for that class if they wanted to be a career DJ. It was one of the only creative options you could pick for a career day. So of course I was like, yes, it's music related and it's a career. He was really nice and had a great impression on me. I even shook his hand at the end because I don't know, I had some gumption and I wanted to make an impression. Turns out we ended up talking when I was a DJ, and, it was a really cool experience because I did pursue DJing on the radio for KDVS, UC Davis Radio, 90.3 FM. And it transmutes all the way from Sacramento and a little bit north to all the way to the Bay Area. That's a really big territory for radio. And I got into a primetime spot on Saturdays from 10 p.m. to midnight. And that was a huge, huge opportunity. I started on Wednesdays, just like every DJ has to start out at a really crappy time, usually. Mine was Wednesdays from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. It was gnarly. I mean, gnarly. And this is all volunteer. Yeah, I was really stretching myself doing the Wednesday nights from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. because I was volunteering and I had 2 jobs and I'm a mom. So my kid was younger, but staying with her dad a lot more because of my schedule. But either way, I was just running on empty. I was burning the candle at both ends and I was running out of wax. You couldn't tell though. I always had this really dreamy sound in my voice because it was so early in the morning that I was exhausted and I had like 3 cups of coffee before I was on the air, but I still didn't have enough caffeine. I loved it because I'd get callers from all over. Like truckers would often call me at really crazy hours at like 4 a.m. and just say, thank you so much. You're keeping me awake right now. I've never heard any kind of music like this before. And I was playing a lot of drum and bass and grime and, you know, some stuff that's like a little bit of a, you know, a stretch for some DJs to play. But because it was safe harbor rules, which is basically just you can play whatever you want as long as you tell people that, you know, there's going to be profanity or whatever. Not a lot of my music had profanity, but it had a kind of nasty beat. So, you know, I was just trying to prepare people. You might hear something you've never heard before, and it was true. So I got the callers recognition, and that meant a lot to me. For anyone who thinks that DJs don't really listen to you or don't really care, we do. It's awesome. We love when you call. I miss it a lot. I miss DJing on the radio. It was freaking awesome. But the time commitment and then the money not being there was just really tough for me. So I do look forward to volunteering again someday. For now, this is my focus. I want to keep sharing these successes with you, but I am going to dive into a little bit more of the failures. So behind the scenes, while I was DJing on the radio, I was going through a really, 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 really hard time in life. I will share my honest truth. I was in an abusive relationship physically and emotionally, and it was really scary. It was a really scary time in my life. I was constantly in a place of fear. He was stalking me when I didn't want to see him. It was really not fun. Thank goodness I have not seen him in a long time. I basically used this DJing as an excuse to escape because I knew he couldn't follow me there. I knew he didn't know what I was doing, and he couldn't go into the studio room. It was all very high security. So believe it or not, me DJing on the radio was a way for me to escape an abusive situation. I did not see myself as a victim. I allowed this to happen. I was in a relationship with this man and he was toxic as hell. And I knew that going into it, but I still was determined to change him in some freaking way. And we always think we can do that. And then, and then it just doesn't happen. Why me? And no, I was not in that place. I did not feel victimized, but I did feel scared. I was mad at myself. I had a lot of issues with depression and anxiety at the time. I was really jumpy everywhere. Like, if you popped up behind me, I'd literally like jump and scream. Those are basically symptoms of PTSD. We'll go into more details of these kind of traumas as we go on when we talk to our guests, because there will be things that come up that we'll just naturally talk about. The light at the end of the tunnel was I always had music. I always had DJing in an ethereal sense. I could always have music to save me, no matter what was going on in my life. Miraculously, he stopped following me after years. I had ended the relationship. I was not going to stay in something like that for my daughter's sake and for my sake. I was just so tired of this feeling of like, I can't even be myself. I can't even show my face in public because I'm afraid he's going to be there. This happened with another person later on, but again, we'll talk about those things later. But for now, it's just an encouraging thought that you always have a way out. It may not feel like it at the time, but when we talk about starting from nothing all over again, that's how I felt. I felt like I had absolutely nothing to live for even. I was terrified to live because everywhere I went, there he was. I did not press charges. I did not go to the cops. These are things I kind of regret, actually, because I could have had some kind of trail which would have protected me later on should he pop up again, which he did. That's a regret that I do have. If I can share very honestly with you, I would always suggest, if you do feel in fear for your life, or if someone is following you, please report it to the police. The reason why we're having so many issues with these reports is that not enough people are doing them and taking it seriously for themselves because they are afraid. The number one thing to get over in entrepreneurship or just in life is to advocate for yourself. You have to create your own chairs and tables. If the chairs and tables are not available for you, make your own damn table, make your own damn chairs. Get yourself off your butt and do something about it. That's what you have to do. And that's the only thing that's kept me here, is that I am not a victim to my circumstances. I find a way out. It is not impossible, no matter how it may feel. It may feel like the end of the world. It may feel like you're burning down your own house, but you can start over and there is hope. I think that's a good place to start. I just want to thank you so much for joining me. I do plan on having an average time of about 30 minutes per podcast. But since this is my first one, I just wanted to introduce myself, get this over with. And I will have a guest on my next episode. My good friend, Gabriel Sanford, is coming on. Him and I work together on a project called Retreat. He is a Sacramento artist as well as curator. He's been working in town for many, many years, way beyond me. And he's helped me a lot in my pursuit of crafting events and curating my own artist event. Well, that's my time. I really look forward to talking more with you guys, and please do feel free to leave comments, and I can't wait to hear from you. Please do send me any requests for any local talent that you'd like to hear from, as well as topics that may concern you, or if you have any questions as an entrepreneur, what kind of help I can give you as a marketer for over 20 years, as well as a DJ musician and curator, as well as event producer. So lots of topics we can cover, and we will cover in Start From Zero. I'm very, very thrilled to be on this journey with you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Aurora Jimenez, Manipo, out.